30 seconds into the prosecutor's statement, my 13-year-old daughter turned to me and says, I know where this is going. It was quite clear that he was acting more like, almost as like a defense attorney for Officer Wilson. Yeah. And he was just very tone deaf, which made it hard, to sort of listen to. I got angry listening to it. And, I understand that these sometimes can be hard cases and evidence is hard to sort through. And in that instance, I think, there were two sort of interpretations here. One is because the case was such a high-profile case, he did things that the grand jury wouldn't do in most cases. They brought in expert witnesses. The prosecutor didn't try to nudge them in one direction or the other, so it was said. And the whole presentation last night looked like it was the defense of the person who was in the indictment seat. Mm-hmm. And so now, did they do that because it was so high profile? They wanted to give every benefit of the doubt to the person who might be put in this difficult position with indictment. In case I think most defendants would say, "Me next, please." Yeah. Or was it done because this would lead to this outcome and make it harder to get an indictment? In which case, the prosecutor, who like every member of his family has served in the police, and in 26 years he's never indicted. Whatever. We've all heard these stories. He's never indicted a cop. And so you have, from the same set of unusual facts, two polar opposite interpretations, which goes back to our original point. In a divisive, world, each side has plenty of data points to make their case, and to more importantly, believe the other side is not just wrong, but falsifying the case for ulterior racist motives. Mm-hmm. And that makes it really sad, and that's why, in some way, I don't believe the president's Green Lantern, so please don't write in about that. But I do think that the speech last night that he gave, I just thought was disappointing. It was flat. It seemed to me he hadn't thought through yet what he should say, what his role could be here. Much different from the speech he gave when he announced his immigration executive action, which I thought was one of the best things he said in a long time. Mm-hmm. It was all about big values, and he was passionate about it. After the Ferguson indictment, it seemed like he was just kind of almost mulling aloud in public. And I understand all the difficulties, and I'm not sure what speech I would have written for him had I been working in the White House. But perhaps maybe the thing was to wait. Yeah.
No, it was tough. Well, first of all, I don't know enough about the case of the law to know whether there should have been an indictment. On the one hand, I'll say, in defense of the grand jury's decision, certainly the evidence was not consistent with what had originally been some of the most damning versions of what Darren Wilson did, right? Like the idea that, okay, the guy's just standing out there, he's got his hands up, you start shooting at him. No, apparently, blood in the car, blood on the gun, and so on. It looks like there was an up-close encounter, fine. Yeah. So I don't know, but I will say that the thing about prosecutors is they just naturally consider police to be on their team because they are. They work together all the time to put cases together. And in fact, this county prosecutor, I don't know whether he's worked with police in this particular municipality or this particular cop, but that's what they do basically. You almost wonder if there shouldn't be an automatic change of venue. Any prosecutor in any county is going to kind of feel cops are on my team. But still, this prosecutor is working in the county full of the cops who are on his team. And, does he really want to go to work the next day having put one of them away? No, he doesn't. No prosecutor does. It's an inherently awkward situation to ask a prosecutor to look at a case involving a cop.
No, I think it's a real good point, and you wonder if there's a way to sort of have any sort of change venue, any sort of independent person. I mean, the IA, their IA departments, internal affairs offices, in police departments to investigate police corruption, not necessarily acts like this. And they're always fraught with difficulties in bringing cases, and if they do their job well, they end up being hated and targeted sometimes. And if they don't bring cases, people think they're protecting their buddies, and there's an inherent conflict of interest in this situation, and that's why it's really, really, really hard for people to have faith in the process, particularly when they see all these other external circumstances, family ties to the department, a history of not bringing these sort of cases, changing, the rules a little bit, or not, of all the, grand juries almost always bring down indictments if it gets to a grand jury. So, of course, not happening this. And when you're in the black community, and you're the lower end of the economic spectrum, you think you're at the bottom end of the ladder, there's a lot of reason to feel resentment. You got a mainly white force in a largely black town, so it looks like there's a lot, rigged in the big picture to begin with. And so, your perspective is, how can this, this system which, has me where I am and where they are, how can they come up with a fair, resolution here? It's very tough.